Today we're going to go over one simple tip that will free you from being stuck in the first position. Hi, my name is Dylan. Welcome back to my journey to earn my dream guitar. This is for any beginners out there who've been learning some basic chord shapes down here. Maybe you know this wonderful chord shape, the C major. Maybe you know A minor. So many beautiful chords you can play by staying in the first position. If we keep the same shapes that we're using on the first position and move them up the neck, all we've got to do, think of the nut as another finger. When you play a C major, think about this as another fret. And if you replace that nut with fingers, you can take this exact chord shape and move it up the neck with you. And as long as you know within this C major shape that the root note is right here, well, that opens up tons of possibilities. Let me show you. Oftentimes, if you're keeping these shapes and moving up the neck, you will need to rework the formation of the fingers so that you can play those shapes. So let's start with a simpler one, an E minor shape. Just two fingers. And so if we want to replace the nut here, you can see pretty quickly what that shape might look like. It might be a little more comfortable to use third and fourth finger and then replace the nut with your first finger, barring those strings. Now, if you watched my first video about bar chords, you might be aware that we should probably move up if we want to make this a little easier for ourselves. And that's the whole point here. So let's move up. And since our root note was here, the E, once we move up, now that's our root note, we have a B minor. If we move up another fret, well, we'll find a C minor. Move up another fret, C sharp minor, and on and on and on. The creative possibilities that this opens up is huge. This is where it gets really interesting. Let's try a couple more. If we take this G major shape, we have three fingers down and the rest are open. And all those in the middle, all open. Let's try move up one fret and see what happens. Once we're here, you can do it, but it's pretty hard to do. And even if we moved up using the skills we learned in our last video, you can get that. Now we've got a C sharp major, but it's still a little hard to play. Maybe we don't need all the information in this chord to make the chord that we want. We can reform the fingers, probably get rid of this pinky because it's the same note here as it is here. So let's get rid of that entirely and make this a little easier for ourselves. And then just leave out the top string. And you've got your C sharp major, or D flat major, depending on who you're talking to. And now what I find really interesting about these three fingers right here is that these three look strangely familiar once you try the next shape, the A major shape. If we want to replace the nut in this shape, well, we're at a pretty good start. Now we have some fingers available. We slide up. Now we have another major chord, and this time it's a B flat major. Now if we take this and keep moving up, we remember the whole time that this note here on the A major was our root note. Okay, so you're gonna keep moving up until we find a C sharp. B, C, and C sharp. So, strangely familiar formation on the fingers here. It's the same three in the same exact spot as this chord shape here. This really starts to open up the variety that you can put into your songs. If I want this sound, but I want a little more meat in the low end. So a lot of these chord shapes as you move up the neck are actually related and they overlap. Let's talk about another minor chord and start in the first position with A minor. Great. Now what would we have to do to move this up the neck and replace the nut. Since we're already out of fingers and the only remaining finger is on this side of the hand, we want to replace these fingers with these ones so that we have an available finger on this side. And so now we could bar, get this note and this note. Or if you've learned your fretboard a little bit, you might know that this note, F, is already in the chord up here. Same note, you can hear they ring together. So if we leave these fingers here and just focus on putting our pointer finger on the A string here. So we've got another minor shape. Give ourselves even more variety in our songwriting. And this time the minor shape is based on the root note on the A string. The root note of the A in the A minor is there on the A string. So as we move up, B flat minor, B minor, C minor, C sharp, D flat minor. You can even challenge yourself to stay between a certain number of frets and write your song. It's limitations like this that open up creative ideas. So using the chords that we've played so far, we're gonna try to put together the chords down here and then up the neck. If we start with the 1, the C, you might wanna move to the 5. Sounds great. What else did we have? A minor. Okay, sounds good. We also had an E minor. Sounds pretty good. Where does that want to move? It doesn't quite want to move to the G just yet. Let's try the F. And what's interesting here is that I'm playing the F in that E major shape right here. It's an E major. And if you move that up just 1, playing that F major, I think that that's where this is headed. C major to start, G, A minor, E minor, the F, back to the G. Now it feels like we can resolve, right? Nice. So let's find some different shapes further up the neck of these same chords and get different sounds and different variety in our song making. So if we started with a C major, we could find another C on the A string, or we could find another C on the E string and go from there, because we learned this shape before, the E minor, remember? And so if we use this C, Future Dylan here, this is where I referenced the wrong chord. So I talked about the E minor, but I should have mentioned the E major shape. So the E major shape has that extra pointer finger down, and that's the shape that you're moving up the neck to get a major chord, not a minor shape to get a major shape. That didn't make any sense. My apologies. There's a C major right there. So we got C. And that's using that A major shape, remember? Next was an A minor, and so that was on the A string as well. Since we're on the 12th fret here, we already got it right there. Okay, we got 3 chords in. So we got C major, G major, A minor. Oh, right nearby, we need an E minor. We can probably grab this bar chord here. And that's E minor. So you got C, G, A minor, E minor. Just after that, F major. And you could just move up 1 fret and add a finger. And you've got your F major. Or we could do this. Let's try that. And then we needed another G major. There it is. Try the whole thing. Added an extra note in one of those chords there. But that's it. That's the whole thing. We're playing it way up the neck. It gives you different colors, different variety, and in some ways it can be even easier to play because the frets are a little closer together as well. So I hope that you can use this in your songwriting journey. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. This is where we're at in the journey for the Dream Guitar, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.